welcome to another edition of Hood News. And I'm coming to you today from the crib. So I am, which is where actually I usually come from. But today I got some new cool graphics, so I thought I'd show them off. So here I am observing the goings on in my house, which are not much. And my cat is watching me. Hey! But there's a lot going on in this world, family, and I want to bring it to you. Now, it has come to my attention that there are people out there who are they have a serious case of what they call, doctors call it body dysmorphic syndrome, where people drastically alter their appearance. And I'm going somewhere with this, so, and you'll see in a minute. But one of the things that people are doing are getting plastic surgery to look more like Snapchat filters. Now, I don't know who on earth would want to look like this. There was a woman who had her face altered to look like her cat. And I believe she's still around. Her name was Jocelyn Wildenstein, and they called her the Bride of Wildenstein. And she spent all this money, and she looks horrible. Oh my God. I'm going to find a picture of her and put it up. Oh, Jocelyn, girl, what's going on? But now you've got these people that they want to look like the Snapchat filters, and they're having all kind of stuff done. And, you know, for those of you who watched my tattoo videos, this changing yourself is becoming extreme. Now, I get it if there are things you want to do that are health related and you decide to, you know, go on a severe diet because you are severely overweight. I get that. Because 600 pounds, that show, My 600 Pound Life, there is no way anybody 600 pounds can tell me they're healthy. However, going on to the body dysmorphic, well, this past week, Zombie Boy, who had himself tattooed to look like a skeleton, and this is what he looked like in life, he died. He fell off a balcony. Now, first they were saying that he committed suicide, but his family said he accidentally fell off the balcony. They say that he used to go out to the balcony to smoke. My thing is, if this is something you do often, then how on earth did you fall? Most balconies, the gate, for lack of a better word, is at least about 4 feet tall, because the manufacturers want to ensure that people don't fall over them. They want to be sure that children are safe. So these are not low devices. They're usually pretty high up so that the person is not in danger. So unless he was drunk or high, then it is a possibility that he fell. But the initial reports were that he committed suicide. And here he is in Lady Gaga's presentation of her video, Born This Way, where she had herself painted to look like his actual tattoos. And I guess they were, comparing notes. But I want to say another thing, too. The Bible speaks about spoken word curses. And this young man, he tattooed himself to look like a skeleton, which is, as we know, when we die, we return to the dust. And he called himself Zombie Boy, which everyone knows zombies are creatures from the dead. This is what the myth of the zombie is. So he was already channeling death in life. And we have to be real careful with what we channel in life, because spoken word curses do exist. You speak a curse on yourself every time you say, I'm ugly. If that's how you feel and you keep repeating that to yourself, then others will see you as indeed ugly. The same thing with other things that a lot of people say regarding themselves. Oh, I'm so fat. Oh, I'm so skinny. Oh, nobody wants me. Oh, I'll never get a man. All of these things are spoken word curses. Also, getting back to the tattooing, if you're tattooing skulls and symbols of death, I've seen people put the Grim Reaper on their bodies and all sorts of other things. that denote death, well, you are giving yourself a word curse by virtue of wearing this thing. So we got to be real careful with that, family, because the enemy loves to capitalize on what we are thinking. He can't read our minds, but he observes our ways and actions. And that's why they call him a familiar spirit, because he becomes familiar with what it is that you like. And he also becomes familiar with what it is that you don't like. So if there are a lot of things about yourself and your body that you don't like, well, he will be sure to ensure that you are miserably connected to these things. And this is how he gets his laugh, because when we serve God, everything around us is like this scenery that I'm in. It's clean, it's pure. Let the words of our mouth and the meditations of our heart be acceptable in thy sight. So we want to be careful. And I want to say rest in peace to Mr. Janess. That was his last name. I believe his first name was Rob. I could be wrong. But he was known in life as Zombie Boy. And so I want to give my condolences to the Janess family and say rest in peace. Okay, the word also speaks about disasters to come in the end times. And here, as you can see, there are indeed a lot of things going on in the world today. There are a lot of fires and natural calamities that are going on, and people are dying in the hundreds.
And I'd like to bring some in this room. I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
No one knows the hour or the day. However, there's some of you who are still living large. Here we got Cardi B and Offset. They spent $500,000 each on these Lamborghinis. This is what means the world to them right now, is having these cars so they can ride around and show off their wealth. And how many times have I stated that this is not something you want to do, especially in this time when people are suffering. It is a disgusting display of wealth. And not only that, Cardi, sweetie, you had one hit record. You can ask, what you should be doing is sitting down with artists who were at the top of their game like you are right now and asking them what were the biggest mistakes they made. And they will tell you, wasting money. Now, sure, it's their money. They can do whatever they want to do. But you're only hot as your last hit record. And I can tell you, having been a manager of groups who were at the top of their game, when those hits stop coming, so does your money. So does that paycheck. So does the shows. People don't want to pay, unless you're a legend. It's very hard to fill a stadium with people who had a hit record 3 years ago, 2 years ago. Even last year, your last year's news. So, I don't know. I probably, in my case, I definitely would not have wasted it on these cars. But that's just me. As I said, the world is going through a lot of calamity right now. You see people who are just struggling. They have to walk miles to get clean water. You've got here in New York City, the rains it was a torrent of rain. And people were concerned. They were scared. They were wondering, what's next? And I can tell you that just a few weeks ago, we had a steam catastrophe where it blew up almost a city block. And people were rushed out of their homes and they couldn't come back for weeks because of the asbestos concern. You can't even go out and get a meal these days. McDonald's salad, which is supposed to be the healthiest thing on the menu, made nearly 400 people sick. So don't assume because it's a well-known franchise that you're going to be okay. Things happen. Then you've got these chemical trails, what they call the chemtrails. Now, in this case, the plane is he's spewing out a retardant because of these wildfires that have been going on. There have been wildfires, there have been volcanoes, Hawaii. People can't even drive because the volcanoes tore up the streets. And this plane is spraying a chemical that's a flame retardant. But guess what? People within miles of this will be affected and can breathe and take in whatever is in that retardant. And I can tell you, it's chemicals. So, you do one thing to get a different result, but as a result, other things happen. And here you can see in other parts of the world, people have to travel by boat to get to their homes and their businesses because of the catastrophes, the natural catastrophes that have happened. Again, talking about eating, 683 people of Chiptole became ill after eating at an Ohio restaurant. Again, people, these restaurants, just because they've got a name slapped on them, doesn't mean that there's a guarantee of good health. The other thing that I'm noticing is that there are more and more commercials encouraging people to put bad things in their bodies. As you know, I watched The Four, which was the show. It's another talent show. They've got all these talent shows popping up. And in between, the commercials were all about Ciroc. They showed Diddy and DJ Khaled partying while drinking and serving Ciroc, an alcoholic beverage. So it's encouraging people to go out and get drunk. You'll be the life of the party. DJ Khaled and Diddy does it, so why not you? And just a heads up, the reason that they use these celebrities is because they know that you're going to follow them. This is why you have the follow button, so that you can follow everything that people are doing, whether it's your favorite celebrity, whether it's your friends. You can see and follow. And what does follow mean? It means mimic, imitate. And in the case of those commercials where they're promoting the liquor, they're saying you can be popular and famous too if you drink Ciroc. You'll be the one to follow. I tell people on my Facebook page, I haven't changed the cover photo, and I probably never will. It says, "Don't follow me, follow Jesus." This is what I encourage you, because in these end times, this is not a time for us to be, you open your newspapers and you see the things that are going on. These are some serious times, people. This is not a time to be goofing off. And those of you who worship the almighty dollar and you assume that, this is what's going to make you popular and famous, let me tell you firsthand, you don't want friends who only want to be around you because you're successful. Because I can tell you, the minute the money goes, so do they. So if that's your, I was talking to a friend the other day. He was actually very good to me. He was there when I was homeless. He was there when I was broke, which was usually around the same time. He was there through all my trials and journeys. And this was a guy, I've spoken about him before. I actually dated him once in the past. But he's one of the few people that, even though we don't have that kind of relationship, he has been a good and true friend. And those are the kinds of friends that you want. We used to say back in my generation, I want a friend through thick and thin. So don't just be there when times are good, when you see me on TV, when you see my pockets fat. Because people they'll lay in the cut and they'll wait and they'll see, okay, they'll look up at the monitor in their head, and it'll tell them where you are in life. And they're just waiting for you to get to that point where they can run in like, hey, remember me? I was there all this time. And I was there when you needed this and when you needed that. But the fact of the matter is they weren't there. They may have been a phone call away. They may have given you a few words of advice, but they weren't there. They didn't come over and hold your hand and tell you that everything was going to be all right. They didn't bring groceries to your house when you were hungry. They didn't help you out of situations that they very well were in position to do so. So I said before, and I put up a meme in my video on Black Girl Thoughts, and it says, "Do not feel guilty about people who," and I can't remember the exact words, but essentially it said, the people you left behind who had a chance to be there and they blew it. Because sometimes I can say it, I can quote Grand Pooba, who's the person my cat is named after. He said in his video and his song 360, he said, "And for those of you those of you left behind, sorry I left you." And I probably have the words wrong, but you get what I'm saying. He's saying, I'm sorry I left you. Sometimes you got to move on. Sometimes you got to leave those people who were not there for you because they're dead weight. They're just there now because you have something for them. They're not there for you. They're there for them. Know the difference. Okay, I want to wind up. I pretty much have exhausted everything I had to say in this video. People, be careful what you eat. If you notice my face looking a little slimmer, I have been taking drastic measures in what I put into my body. And in a few months, I plan to do a video to tell you guys how I took off a substantial amount of weight and have gone on this healthy kick. It's a healthy lifestyle. It's not a diet because I can't do diets. Greedy people can't do diets. We like to eat. So what we have to do, there's only 2 ways you can lose weight. Actually, there's 3, but there's only 2 healthy ways you can lose weight. And that is you either eat less or you exercise more. Then, of course, there's the option of going for surgery. But I think that's stupid because you can get the surgery that will close up your intestines and shorten your intestines so that you can't take in as much food. But if you're greedy, you're going to find a way to push it in. And so all that surgery is going to be a waste of time. They also have this new thing where they suck the fat out of you. And good luck with that. Because although the fat may not come back to the areas where they sucked it out, it'll come to other areas. So you'll wind up looking like a caricature of something, but it won't be attractive. So, and then that's the other thing too. You don't want to lose weight to look good for others. You want to lose weight to feel good. Now, the end result is that, yes, most of us, we do look better when we don't have all the weight on, but we also feel better. So let the aesthetics, the how you look, be the byproduct of the reason behind you losing weight. Okay, I'm going to end with prayer right now. Lord, in the name of our Father, Lord, Jesus Christ, I pray for those people who are living recklessly out there, who are not aware that these are the end times, and this is the time to be holy, to be yours, Lord. We belong to you. So many of us forgot who we belong to. We belong to you, and we should act as representatives of you, Lord. So I ask you to show the people, what they are doing that is not in accordance with your will, so that they can change these things. I ask you to pray for those who are putting word curses on themselves and they're not aware of this, Lord. It's a horrible thing, and it's irreversible. I ask you, Lord, to pray for the families of these young people who are dying out here, either by their own hand or by the hands of others. There's a lot of jealousy, Lord. I pray for the enemies of people who seek to do them harm. Pray for my enemies, Lord. I ask you to put a covering on those who are suffering, whose homes have been lost due to these natural calamities, that these governmental agencies will help them to reestablish themselves and their businesses. Lord, I pray for the finances of people who need it. I pray that everyone can enjoy a meal every day, that children will be able to eat every day, not just on a school day. And Lord, I thank you for the families, and I pray for the families that are struggling to maintain their households despite not having enough. I thank you and I pray for the good parents out there who are teaching their children life skills, which is so much so important these days for them to be able to then go on and become productive adults themselves. Lord, I thank you and I bless you for the subscribers, for the people who hear the word, for those who tune in just to see what I'm talking about. Lord, I thank you and I bless you in the mighty name of Jesus.